Managing people doesn't have to be scary. Whether you struggle with hiring or firing employees, developing individuals or teams, or even managing workplace relationships, I have some answers that can help you establish your approach. I'm Phil Badley, a leadership coach who helps business owners to lead better and more productive lives. I've developed some great content aimed at small businesses that want to focus on improving their performance. Now, the context is set in the therapy sector, although the principles I'm sharing are the same regardless of the business that you're running. I hope they can help you with a challenge that you're facing. So why not take a look and see how my tips can help you to improve your approach to managing people. I'm going to take a look at designing your therapy business and the structure that will support business growth. I'm going to offer you a straightforward approach, and we're going to take a look at roles and responsibilities. But before we get into more detail in the video, let's just outline what I'm actually going to talk about. So we're going to look at where you are on your business development journey. We're going to take a look at the demands that you currently have within your organisation. I'm going to help you take stock and show you a simple process. Then we're going to look at the mechanics of analysing the needs of your business, checking out your finances, thinking about roles and what roles might look like within your business, and then moving you to take some action. So let's get started, shall we? So maybe you're just starting out in private practice. Maybe you have some experience under your belt and you're getting quite busy now. Either way, it probably feels like a bit of a circus act, juggling so many tasks and activities. Perhaps you're looking to expand, maybe you're looking to take on more rooms, or perhaps take on a new premise. You could be looking to increase the number of team members that you've got, or perhaps start to think about creating clinical roles for the first time, or expanding clinical roles within your current organisation. And you're probably wondering, how on earth are you going to tackle all that in the busy life that you've got? So my focus in this video is to get you to think about your wants and your needs as a business owner. So let's have a look at the demands and the impact they're having on your organisation. So you'll have clinical demands upon you, probably as the lead clinician. You'll have a growing number of clients within your order book. You may be pressured for space as the number of clients grows. The amount of clinical and non-clinical work will obviously grow within your organisation as it expands. That puts pressure on you and potentially on family time. And that's always a very difficult balance. You could literally be working all hours. And some of the clients that we worked with in the past have actually been working so much over weeks, months, and perhaps even years that has started to impact upon their business performance and obviously their own health and well-being. A vicious circle, and we're going to encourage you to break that vicious circle. So let's help you now by putting in place a framework to help you take stock. So I want you to step back from the busyness of your organisation and take what I would call a helicopter view. So distance yourself from what's going on within that business. Think about what your current plan looks like. So do you have a vision for your business and for yourself and your family perhaps? Have you got a business plan in place? Have you got effective performance measures in place so that you know how well your business is doing? What's working well and what do you know or think could improve? And if you need help and support with any of that, then look elsewhere on the Academy platform, because there's lots of information and resources that can help you with those aspects of growing your business. What about you? What is it looking like in practice? Are you working long days and long nights? Is there a challenge for you in balancing personal and family life with running a business? What is it that's going to make a difference for you, and how can changing the structure of your business help you to become more effective and to run a more successful business. So let's take a look at defining the workload. Now this can be quite a challenge sometimes, so I want you to take the opportunity to find some quiet time, make some quiet time in your schedule. Grab yourself a notebook, a piece of paper, perhaps your favourite smart device to record information on, and then start making an exhaustive list. The tasks you undertake that support your business throughout your busy day, throughout your busy week, and the months that go by. Also record the stuff that you don't get a chance to do or do well, or the stuff that's perhaps sitting and waiting for some action from you. It's unlikely you'll be able to do this all in one sitting, I would suggest. It could be something you carry around with you and note as you go, almost like a diary management exercise that enables you to capture absolutely everything that's going on. Also think about the activities and support that other people around you, perhaps friends, colleagues, associates, or perhaps people you might pay at the moment to help you get the job done. And then take some time to think about the scope of your ambition. Where do you want your business to be? And think about the difference that supporting some of those tasks and activities might have for you and for your business. And then return to that list and review that list and see if you can note whether anything is missing. You can always add to it as you go along, but stick out this because it's really important and it forms the foundation for much of the work that you will need to do to grow your business. Then I'm going to show you now a bit of a framework that you can use to analyse those needs, the activities that you've defined. So again, you need to make yourself some time, quiet time, to sit back and take stock and to think. Review your list. Start to sort that list into clinical and non-clinical activities. Then start to think about how you might group tasks and activities into what I would call natural clusters. Things that look like clusters of activities that may end up being a potential piece of work or a job for somebody. Where are the current skills in your organisation or outside of your organisation to help you deliver that kind of work? And where do you have knowledge and skills gaps at the moment? Then I want you to look forward as you think about growing your business. Where do you think you'll be in 6 months, 12 months, 2 years' time? What would you add to that list in terms of activities and tasks you would need to think about as that business grows? And then if we return briefly to clinical leadership, where do you see the future of clinical leadership in your organisation? The chances are at the moment it's vested in you as the business owner. Is that practical as you move forward? Is that the right role for you to be thinking about and paying attention to? Could you give it to an experienced colleague? Could it be a role for the future that somebody might grow into? Do you need to establish a position effectively as something like a clinical director to act on your behalf? Let's then take a bit more time now to think about the non-clinical aspects of the business, which often are seen as overhead activities, but are really crucial to enable you to grow your organisation. And I've got a couple of slides here to work with for you to have a think about and reflect about. So in terms of things like premises, who actually is looking after those activities for you at the moment, and who could or perhaps should be looking after them going forward? When you think about contracts, leases, insurances, perhaps cleaning of the building, maintenance of the building, is it your building? Is it somebody else's building? What difference does that make? How does all that liaison work? Think about all the equipment that you've got on your site. It could be in the office, it could be clinical, it could be issues around storage and maintenance of the equipment that you've got. It could be about procurement of supplies and equipment. It could be actually about relationships with suppliers and supplier management. In terms of funding and finance, who's looking after payments and debtors? What about the accounting package, if you have one? How is that maintained, and how is that used effectively to give you good information about the performance of your clinic? And any statutory returns that you may have to complete, both in terms of taxation but also perhaps in terms of professional practice. And then think about technology, your customer relations management systems, the computers that you need both in your back office and in your treatment rooms, the phone systems and the communication systems that you have, and how well they work and how well they support your growing business. Who looks after all of that? Then think about client management, reception activities, customer relations activity, who shares and gives out information and advice, who manages your complaints, and how well are they handled. Moving on now to think about marketing, sales, compliance. So who's managing your brand? Who's growing and developing your business in terms of its image and its relationship in the geography in which you serve? What about your website? How well is your website working for you? How current is it? What kind of information and data are you getting about its performance? Social media. Who plans and manages social media and the campaigns that you might be running? The advertising that you do? Thinking about sales. How effective is your bookings management process? And rebookings, perhaps when people either don't turn up or need additional referrals. If you run courses and programs, perhaps in Pilates or strength and conditioning, who develops, markets and manages those for you? What other products and services do you offer or could you offer that would bring additional revenue into your business? Who manages that for you? Then moving on and thinking about compliance and data. So compliance and regulation, obviously you're in a regulated industry in terms of clinical practice, so that's not part of the conversation for me here. But in terms of information commissioner registration, in terms of GDPR and data protection, in terms of clinical records management, health and safety and well-being of you, your team, your clients and other users of your premises. Data management becomes increasingly important these days, not only in terms of information security, but also in terms of its reporting capability and the information that it can give you to help you to learn and grow a more efficient and effective business. And then of course the security of that data to make sure it stays in safe hands and you don't suffer data breaches, which can be down to data security in terms of your technology, but also in terms of how your staff manage and handle that information. Which leads me on then to staff management. So who is handling staff management at the moment? What about recruitment and selection processes, induction of new employees, the training and development of new employees, both in clinical and non-clinical skills? Who's managing your rosters on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis so that you know what capacity and capability you've got? Who's managing performance appraisal and staff development in your organisation? Who's looking after the well-being of everybody that works within your organisation? And how effective at the moment is communications and engagement with your team to help them to manage, to develop and to innovate practice to help your business grow? All matters that you need to think about in relation to future roles and the structure of your organisation, and where you as the business owner want to pay most attention. But then we move on to the practicality of affordability. So how are you going to shape your ideas around the agenda that we're talking about in this video? What can you delegate now? What takes up a lot of your time, causes bottlenecks potentially in your business? Are they tasks or are they roles at the moment? So tasks, smaller activities that take up time but don't actually yet come together to form a natural piece of work or perhaps a recognisable job. It could just be a question of scale as your business grows. But if you think about delegation, if you think about the better use of technology, e.g. booking software, or you think about outsourcing particular activities, perhaps initially to your accountant as you grow, perhaps then you move to recruit a substantive role within your business so that you can lead, direct and manage the activity in that role. It's all a question of opportunity cost. Having the time and the resources and the cash flow in place, but also thinking about the opportunity that additional capacity will give you in terms of revenue generation. And I'll go on to say about that a little bit more about that in a second. So if you think about those tasks and activities, you can then start to think about building roles potentially for recruitment. The jobs or the activities that will bring you the most benefit are the natural ones to think about first. So how can you combine the tasks and activities to form a role that would enable somebody to apply for it and to do a good job? Could you use it as a development opportunity for an existing member of your team so that you can develop and grow their capability? Often when we think about what I would think of as back office or support roles, we think of them as overhead costs because actually they don't directly generate revenue, which of course in the main is true. But how can you enable them to generate revenue? Well, actually potentially by releasing time spent by therapists who are no longer tied up with administration and form filling or completion of acts. Some of our more administrative based activity could actually mean that they can handle more appointments and therefore you can generate more revenue. Marketing and filling more appointments if you've got people on reception or people who are thinking about your social media strategy and generating more interest. People with a bit of capacity in your organisation can then think about selling merchandise that you may have or products or support and additional treatments that will help people to recover or recover more quickly. So if you think in the broadest terms, often bringing in somebody that may look like an overhead can actually mean you can generate more revenue within other parts of your business. The important thing is to now start to think about a plan of action. What actually is going to make the biggest difference for you and your business? So let's move on then to think about roles and responsibilities. So once you've taken those tasks and activities and you've put them into some kind of manageable shape, into a role that you think somewhere out there in the employment world, somebody can actually come in and make a real difference for you, you need to be clear and specific about the role that you want undertaken. Often this is a problem that we see when we talk with a number of clients face to face, that they actually haven't thought about the role in sufficient detail for them to be able to recruit and select the right type of candidates who bring the right type of experience, but then still need shaping in terms of what you want and need for your clinic. So think about the standards that you're looking for and the performance you would expect out of the individual fulfilling that role. You also need to think about who they report to. Now, when there's just you and you're expanding, then the role may be, well, it's obvious it just reports to me. As the business owner, what you then need to be aware of as your business expands is that you don't have too many people reporting into you, otherwise you become the roadblock. You become the individual that everybody wants to ask questions of, but you can't be in 6 places at once. So you need then to start thinking about how you can delegate further and grow your business in that way to give you more time to pay attention to the key things in the business. When you think about recruitment, think about the skills and knowledge that you want, but also very significantly think about the mindset and the attitude of the people that you're trying to bring into your business. Look for the potential in candidates, people that can grow with you, to support your business as it moves forward. And then let's move on to some practical next steps. What is it that you're going to do as a consequence? Well, you need to decide from that list which activities, which tasks, potentially which roles you need to fill most urgently, because they're going to bring you the greatest return in your organisation. You then need to decide how, where and when you're going to advertise or promote that activity. You also need to be thinking about how you position and sell your brand, your organisation in the marketplace. There are lots of businesses out there all vying for good people. Why would they come and work for your therapy business? Setting up a process of recruitment and selecting candidates, if that's new to you, it needs some thought. If you've done it before, how well actually is your process working? Then when you've found a candidate, you need to be thinking about agreeing some contractual terms. What are you going to pay them? What benefits are you going to give to them? How do they compare with other colleagues in your organisation? And how would they compare with the marketplace? And then thinking about your contract of employment and your employee or your staff handbook. Is that all in place? Is it all up to date? Have you got a copy that's available for your new recruit? And then as they join, what's induction going to look and feel like for them? What time do you need to set aside? Who do they need to meet? What systems do they need to get familiar with? And then what kind of performance standards are you going to put in place to know whether or not you've made the right decision and you know you've got a good candidate? And they're clear about your goals and priorities and the measures and the standards that are in place to help them do a good job. And then how are you going to develop them in your business as your business expands and their knowledge and experience grows with you?